shape, get our fingers nice and agile and flexible, and we'll be able to find all our notes. So we're going to start with some slides, and all these exercises, they're all for all levels. They're maybe good reviews to help us get to a better hand shape. They may be, and I'll also give you some exercises that might be a little more challenging for you if you're in an upper level. And what I'll do is I'll say one level is for the ready, one level is set, and one level is go. So ready will be kind of our beginners. Set will be our kind of mid-level, maybe if we're talking about our Fiddle Quest levels, maybe the levels 2 and 3, and then levels 4 and above, we can do some go versions of these exercises too. So I'm going to play some music just because it's always fun to have music playing, and it's always helpful to keep your fingers moving in time, in some kind of meter or some kind of rhythm. So, because that's what we do with our fingers when we move it, we play them in rhythm. Alright, here's some music, and then the first thing we're going to do is just do some slides up and down. So to set up, you kind of think about our big ball-shaped hand, think about the biggest fruit or the biggest sports ball that you can hold, and just hold it inside the palm of your hand, make your fingers nice and round, wrap it around, and then if you remember, our thumb makes this V shape, and instead of putting the violin down at the bottom of the V, we want our V to hold it at the sides, okay, with a little hole right in the middle. And then we're just going to slide and glide along the top and the bottom. And this is the ready version. And what I want to encourage is for us to high five our shoulder, high five our violin shoulder. Okay, so here we go. Here's some music to start with. Up and back, up and back. Notice that I'm moving my whole arm and not just my wrist. We're not doing this. We're doing this. You can flex your wrist just a little bit each way. Up and back. Up, back. High five that violin. Up and back. Up and back. Keep doing this. I'll level it up to a set level in about 10 seconds here. Keep doing this. Up. Make sure you have a good, secure rest on your violin with your chin toward the end of the chin rest. Your button is hidden. Alright. If you're in the set level, then what we're going to do is keep our violin on the strings. Okay, keep that nice round shape with our hand. Just curl your fingers over and just touch the strings. Just think about that shape, all the fingers. It doesn't matter if your finger's on one string. We'll get to that next with the go version. Up and back, up, and we still want to kind of high five our violin shoulder. Up and back. Good. Alright, here comes the go version. The go version is for us to choose one string and put all your fingers on one string. And slide all the way up as far as we can and all the way back down. Up, back, up, back, up. It really works all your muscles up here too. So it may feel like you're a little twisted like a pretzel. That's okay. You'll get a lot stronger and you'll be able to do these movements easier. Back. All fingers on one string. Try different strings. Up, back, up. If you're ready, you just stay right here. Okay, if you're on the ready level, just beginning, just stay right here. Make sure you still have that V, and you're sliding along the sides. Okay? If you're on go and you're on one string, think about a zip line. If you've taken a zip line or seen a zip line in a video, you know someone hangs from that zip line. That's what our fingers are doing. We're not resting any of our violin underneath. We're just hanging our fingers and our thumb is gliding along. You might be able to see this version. Oop, let me do this. Here we go. Up, back, up. Really loose thumb. So, for finger taps, the setup is that same ball-shaped hand. We're gonna put our hand all the way to the shoulder of our violin, kind of like high-fiving our violin. All right, and make sure our fingers are rounded in front of the wrist. And when I say in front of the wrist, they're kind of pointing towards you and not back like this. Even though it may feel like you're supporting, you don't need to hold your violin up with your hand. If your chin is in a good, secure location, just make sure your fingers are nice and round and pointing towards you. Okay? Alright, so we'll do some music. We'll just tap on the strings, give some instructions for some more challenging versions of this, ready, set, and go, and then keep practicing this. All right, here's some music to play along with. So just tap on the strings for ready. Just tap. This is a really good rhythm exercise too, to really make us feel the time of the music. And you can do this whatever music you want to. It doesn't have to be this one. Just tap nice and simple. Make sure your hand is round. And that your fingers are tapping on the tips of the fingers. The tips of our fingers. Alright, we're gonna step this up to the set version. We're going to just move our elbow. We're going to move our elbow. Oops. I was going to show this for a picture. We're going to move our elbow so that whenever we move our elbow out, we go to the E string side. And then whenever we move our elbow in towards our body, we go to the G string side. So we're going to start with the E string side. And then move our elbow back under the violin. And then let's go over to the G string side. Put your elbow right towards your belly button. Point your elbow towards your belly button. Go back to the strings. Alright, if we're in the go version, the upper levels, we'll keep fingers on one string at a time. Okay, tap on each string just like an open string cycle. So G, 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 D, 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 A, E, E. All the fingers on one string. E, A, D, D, D. Notice your elbow, how it moved your fingers. Your fingers don't move on their own. Your elbow moves your fingers across. A, E, 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 A, D, 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 G. Again, if you're just ready, all you need to do is just tap. just tap on top of that. Keep your nice round shape. Put your hand right all over the violin shoulder, just to keep that wrist straight, because that's what we want to see when we play down here. Is a nice straight wrist. Relax your fingers. Just touch your tips, fingertips. Cool. All right. Keep practicing. If you want to challenge yourself, do the open string cycle version. The other thing you can do is make sure you can practice your half steps to lay out your finger patterns. All right? We know exactly where our fingers should be landing, and we can control. So the way this is going to work, we're going to set up our hand on the flat surface. We don't have to do this. You can do this on the edge of our violin if we want, just like this. Or we can, for our Go versions, our upper level students, we can do it on the string. But let's just start for the ready and set version. We'll just start on our violin shoulder, and all we're just going to do is tap. And we'll learn when we start playing our instrument that there's kind of two intervals between our fingers when we go up the steps, up a scale. There's a whole step where there's space in between our fingers, and there's a half step, whole step and a half step, and that's all we're going to do. All right, I'll give you some things to challenge yourselves if you feel like this is too easy. But just start doing this between first and second finger, or whatever finger you choose, second and third finger, and then we'll keep moving. So I'm going to play some music again just to do this, and I'll give some other directions. So we'll just start on tapping, split. I call them finger jacks because they're like jumping jacks for your fingers. If you need to slow it down, your fingers, if you feel like your fingers aren't kind of coordinated or don't feel like they're kind of listening to you, slow down. You can do 1, 2, 1, 2, or 1, 2, and 1, 2, and okay. For any upper level, you can try different fingers. This pinky or the ring finger and second finger is really tricky because they want to stay nice and together, but we would need to train them to come apart and come together. Apart and together. Apart and together. I'm going to see if I can show this on my other camera here. Together. Together. Apart and together. Apart, together. Doesn't really work very well. Together. And then you can do the pinky as well if you really want to challenge. Alright, so that's more for ready and set. You can kind of do some different things with your fingers. Move them in and out, but really half step or whole step, half step, whole step, half step. Think about what you're doing and what kind of note you're playing between, if you know your scale especially. Alright, for our Go players, we want to tap right on the violin string and pick one finger to anchor to the string and one finger to move out and in, out and in, out. I'm going to try to show my other side. Out and in, out and in. Do it with the third finger to second finger. Tap, 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 tap. It's pretty much like dancing. You're kind of finger dancing right now. And pay attention what you feel with your other fingers. The fingers that aren't moving are just as important, because if you can keep those fingers still, then you're able to kind of prepare yourself for any other notes that might be happening pinky. Good. Whole half, whole half. Good. Keep one down, move the other. Keep one down, move the other. Again, if you're just starting, just do this. And if you don't even have a violin, you can always practice without a violin. Just practice like this. Pick two fingers, spread them apart, put them together. That's it. Jumping jacks. To pay attention to is, of course, our wrist shape, our finger shape, our hand shape being nice and round, just like those other exercises we've worked on. And also our the movement, our independent movement of each finger, okay? So we're going to start with fingers flopping, all fingers on one string. I'm going to play on the D string. And we're going to say this rhyme, okay? And for each line of the rhyme, we're going to move from first finger to second, third, and to pinky. All right, and what we're tapping with our fingernail or fingertips and not our pads, so make sure your fingers are nice and round. Okay, I like to think of, especially with this first finger, I like to think of making a chair. Sometimes it may be like that, but we're going to just put it right there. All right, so fingers flopping, never stopping. Keep those fingers flopping, flopping. Fiddle fingers must be soft. Watch those little fingers drop. Notice what happens with your thumb. I feel my thumb getting a little too tight, so I'm going to rub, 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 tap, 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 really loosen our hand up. And whenever you're doing any kind of left hand work, feel free to take some shake breaks. We're going to do it again. We're going to start with our pinky. Let me see if I can remember going backwards. Watch those little fingers drop. Keep those fingers flopping, flopping. Fingers flopping, never. Oh, I messed up. All right, we are going to keep working on our left hand, and we're going to work on fingers flopping, which is something I teach my beginners right when they start using their fingers on the strings. And the setup for this is just like everything else. We're going to keep our wrist nice and straight, our hand inside nice and round like we're holding a big apple, orange, softball, any big round object, right? And then our fingers nice and round over the strings, making sure that we're touching with the fingertips and not the pads. Fingertips. All right. And what we're going to do is we're going to say this rhyme, and I'm going to tap for each line of the rhyme. I'm going to tap each finger. So starting on my first finger, my pointer finger, going to my middle, ring, and pinky. Okay, here we go. Follow along. Fingers flopping, never stopping. Keep those fingers flopping, flopping. Fiddle fingers must be soft. Watch those little fingers drop. Loosen your thumb, tap, 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 rub, 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 just to really relax those fingers. Let's go backwards. Watch those little fingers drop. Fiddle fingers must be soft. Keep those fingers flopping, flopping. Fingers flopping, never stopping. All right. So that's fingers flopping. You can do it in different ways, going up, going down. You can also just pick and choose, but really think about what your other fingers are doing. Make sure they're still on the strings, not pressing down like it's squeezing, but staying on the strings, kind of sticky. The other way you can do this is to lift your fingers just slightly off the strings, okay? Sometimes I say to my students, I want to see ninja fingers, and I want to see from this side, maybe you can't tell that my fingers are barely moving, but from this side you can see going down and going up just slightly, and that's how we want to try to play. Not popping, our fingers shouldn't be popping up like popcorn. Our fingers should always be round and pointed down, fingertips pointing down. Okay, so let's just try it above the string, drop, and then lift. Fingers flopping, never stopping. Keep those fingers flopping, flopping. Fiddle fingers must be soft. Watch those little fingers drop backwards. Watch those little fingers drop. Keep those fingers nice and soft. Fiddle fingers, flopping fingers, flopping, never stopping. All right.